question every move I make. Another failure or close to succeed. How many more do I need? I want you here in my arms.
Facebook has announced that they are taking away Facebook Analytics, and it has a lot of people, understandably, very concerned. We're going to talk about what it means, what you need to do right now, and what your alternatives are after this happens, which, by the way, is at the end of this month when I'm recording it, which is June 2021. So let's get the party started. We had a lot to talk about. Yes. Okay. So, as I mentioned, Facebook has announced that they are taking away Facebook Analytics, and there's a lot of people who are very upset right now about this. To be fair, they did give us notice. They've been talking about this for a couple of months, but they have not done the world's best job of explaining exactly what this means, and the fact that you actually have things that you have to do right now if you want to save your data. If you don't want to save your data, you're fine, and you can just roll along. But if the data that you have accumulated in Google Analytics is something that you want to maintain, you want to have handy so that you can refer back to it next year, you need to do some things right now, like right now, because we're running out of time. It's going to end at the end of the month, June 30th, as of when I'm recording this. So, yeah, you need to move on this. If you're watching this after June 30th, I don't think you're going to have a whole lot of options. It doesn't sound like they're leaving any doors open on this one. So we're going to talk about what this is really all about, what you need to do right now, and what you're going to do after this is said and done. But first, again, I like to start everybody off at the same point. So let me take this away, and I'm going to show you what it is what we're talking about so that everybody has the same picture in their head, because this is one of those cases where, very often a company will refer to different parts of their functionality by different names, but we don't always think about it that way. We often think about it in terms that make sense to us. Now, in this case, part of the concern people have, I think, is because of the wording, right? This particular piece of functionality they're talking about is actually just one of the pieces in the tool set, right? So people are reading this as you're not going to have analytics from Facebook anymore, and that's not the case. It just so happens that's what they called this piece of functionality, and so that's why they're referring it to this way. It does not mean that you are never going to see any analytic data from Facebook anymore. And let's face it, of course that's not going to happen, because a big part of how they make money off of us directly from our pocket is by charging us, right, getting us to buy ads and boost posts and all that kind of stuff, and that is useless if you don't have analytics behind it. So you will still have analytics, so let's just get that out of the way right now. You're going to have analytics, so deep breath, everybody's okay. All right, so let's take a look at what it is we're actually talking about, and then we can take it from there. Don't need two captions, one is enough. So this is the piece that we're talking about. So this is what you're probably used to. If you've ever gotten in to look at your analytics, this is what you're used to seeing. You can go in, you can get, all of your little charts and everything, and you've got all different ways to look at things and sort things and all that. So up here is where the important information is. Now, the two blue ones, right, the one about iOS in May, there were changes made to it that in fact impacted your analytics, basically, especially around reporting ads and that kind of stuff. That was just informational. Same thing here, because of some other changes, part of it being the iOS thing, part of it being Facebook stuff, part of it being privacy rules changes. Some of the metrics stopped reporting, either just for a time period or forever. But again, this was just informational. This red one here, this was the one that they needed everybody to pay attention to, and it says Google Analytics will no longer be available after June 30th, 2021. This is your first step, folks, okay? This is the thing. If this data that you have, it has any meaning to you, you can download the data from your reports directly from the charts. Now, right here is where I've got a problem with them, okay? At least they gave us a little notice, it was a couple of months. They have been sort of communicating it, but they did not make this clear, okay? They did not make clear that when they take away this functionality, you're also losing your archival data. On many levels, I have a problem with that, and none of them have anything to do with me watching my analytics, because I really don't too much on Facebook. I glance at it from time to time. But there are people who live and die by their analytics on Facebook, and I'm sorry, when they make a choice from a business standpoint to stop supporting and then taking away some functionality that they had given to us, okay, that's fine, that's their right, it's their playground, it's their ball. But the data should be ours. And to me, it's inexcusable. They had to have been able, they've got a lot of smart people there, they could have found a way to take your archival data and still made it available. So, if this data means anything to you, you absolutely, right now, in this moment, after you're done watching this, or you can pause it and come back, you need to go and download your data. Now, this is the second part of this problem, okay? The first part is, hey, your data is going to disappear if you don't do something here. The second part of it is, they have made it incredibly painful to get it. This actually makes the Periscope thing, which if you watch those videos, okay, getting the data out for that was painful. That actually, what's happening here in Facebook makes that look like it was a smooth deal. Because the way that you're going to get this information, let me get this off, is you have to go into each report, okay, so here, let's just pick a report, but you have to go into each one manually with whatever settings, and then you have to go here where there's this little arrow. Let me make sure you're seeing that on the screen here. So right here, yes, okay, and download it. And not all of them do it the same way, so I'm just going to pick around here. Let's see if we can find another one. I don't have any funnels. Some of them that has an extra button where you can actually choose how to bring it down. Now, like I said, I'm not using all of the tools in this, so I don't see all of these, but you're going to want to go through all of these and make sure, yeah, okay, so this is one, right? So in the other ones, there was a little arrow, okay, and that's what the instructions tell you to look for, but this one has 3 dots. Now, it does the same thing, but my point is consistency matters in user interfaces, and this is a problem. So just because, you don't see this little arrow here pointing to the right, that, when you hover, it says download this data in a CSV file. And by the way, CSV is comma separated value. Don't worry about it. You can open it in whatever spreadsheet tool you prefer. But so this is one option, but then there are other ones, and I should have made a note of what one we were in. Okay, this one doesn't have that, but you can still do it. So if you're going to go through this process, don't freak out if you don't see something. But do understand that it's going to be based on the criteria that you have set. So up at the top here, which you can't really see, but you can change, oh, here we go. You can change the date range that's being displayed. So if you want all of the data, you're going to want to come into custom, okay? And you're going to want to go all the way back to whenever you started using Facebook, or however long back they'll let you download stuff, because there's usually a limit in this stuff. And then pick the date range that you want to see all the data for, and then go into each one and download that data. Inexcusable? Yes, but we don't really have time to argue with them about it. So if you need this data, or you think you might need this data, because that's the thing here. If you need this data, and or you think you might in the future, you need to do this right away, because it will be gone when they take the tool away. So, for whatever that's worth, just wanted to be very clear about that. Hey, Sammy, how you doing? Good to see you. I don't know how big you are into Facebook analytics. I think you're more of a YouTube person, but thanks for stopping by anyway. And if you have any data, you might want to go and get it now, because, hey, funsies times. Okay, so let's just go to the actual thing here where they're telling us about it. So they do have information on the site. I put all the links into the description on whatever platform you're watching on, so you can go and get these links here, so you don't have to worry about scribbling them down unless you want to. But here's the thing, Facebook Analytics is going away, okay? It explains when it's happening. It tells you to look for that little icon that I just told you may or may not be there, depending. So what they're doing is, this is the functionality I showed you, is how it looks from the desktop browser, okay? There's also an app, probably on your phone if you install these things for Facebook, that is also going to stop working. So you're going to lose it in both places. Don't think that this is your way out. What they're doing is they're trying to push everybody into the business suite, okay? And I'll show you that in a second. which is where you can control most of your stuff. And the thing that they're in love with right now is the fact that, they want you very much to do all your things in Facebook and all your things in Instagram from there. Okay, but here's the trick, okay? I mean, it's like Twitter/Periscope and Facebook got together and decided, let's make our lives easier or harder. No. Okay, they want you to use this, but this tool may not be available to you yet. And that's the truth. It may not be available to you yet. So hope it is, because until it is, you're kind of not going to have all the information you need. So keep checking. And if you don't have it and you need it, I highly recommend continuing to contact Facebook support until you get a reaction. The other thing is, so whereas everything was kind of umbrellaed under the analytics functionality beforehand, now they're breaking it out. So it's Business Suite. Okay, the Ads Manager is the other thing. We'll take a quick look at that, where at least, that's pretty clear. That's where you're going to manage your ads, okay, which kind of already existed depending on which door you went through at Facebook, but now that's where they want you to do that kind of stuff, so you're going to be there. And then they've created something called the Events Manager, okay, and that's where you're going to manage things like the Facebook Pixel and your conversion APIs and that type of thing. I think personally, since they have something called Facebook Events, I think this is confusing. So let's be clear here. For the purposes of this conversation, the Events Manager is not about Facebook events, like the events that you might be running using the functionality given to you from Facebook. This is events around people visiting whatever sites you've put the Facebook Pixel on. And if you're not using the Facebook Pixel, that doesn't matter. But if you're doing, conversion tracking, if you're using the API to maybe tie your conversions into another tool that you're managing all that kind of stuff in, additional reports and all that around that kind of stuff, tied to your website, if you've got an app out there, if you have a, physical or online store, all of that is controlled in, God help us, Facebook Events Manager, which is, let me be very clear, completely different from Facebook events. This is what happens when people in a company don't talk. But, okay, let's go back to this. I just want to make this clear because, again, I do this for a living in my day job, and it drives me crazy to see people doing this over and over again. It's like, how many times are we going to keep doing this to people? So, they explain that they're, retiring it as a part of an initiative to consolidate business tools, except somehow we ended up with more business tools out of this, so who knows? And blah, 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 insights, analysis, blah, blah, blah. So they're trying to spin this so that it's a good thing for us, but the reality is that you're going to be going to different places to do different things. This also applies on here, okay? So now there is an app for Facebook Business Suites. I'm assuming there's one for Ad Manager. To be honest, I didn't check. And the Events Manager, which is not about Facebook events. It's going to make that title really long every time I have to explain that one. So you're going to want to get the apps if you're, using it on your phone a lot. And you're just going to want to get used to visiting it in the different places on the websites here. So let's go and take a look here. Let me make sure I've got this loaded. So, whoops. Yeah, see, I knew that was going to happen. So we were a little careful. Okay, so we are going to take a look at, what are we going to look at first? Let's take a look at, which one is this? This is, okay, let's take a look at the Business Suite first, because that is the one that they really want us to be spending most of our time in. So this is what it looks like. Obviously, your mileage will vary because it will be your information and your logo and that type of thing. But it does have a breakdown. There's all kinds of stuff here on the side, which you may or may not be able to see. Let me move that over for you for a second. Okay, so you've got all different things you can get into. You can look at your activity, your inbox. You can check the activity around your posts and stories. So it's pretty well out. This ads here takes you into the Ads Manager, which is nice. There's just overall insights, so on and so forth. You've got more tools here, so you can get into all the different stuff. So this is a really good jumping off point, so you don't have to keep track of where everything is, because from here you can get to the other things that they've set up if you're doing things from your laptop or your desktop or whatever. So for what it's worth, if nothing else, go and take a look at the Events Manager, hoping that you have access to it. And it hopefully will be coming. If you want more information about that, I do have a link again in the descriptions, okay? where they talk about business suites, what's in there, what you can do from there, all that kind of good stuff. It's just good. It's not terribly long. They don't give much in-depth information on these pages, but they do at least give you that high-level view. Understand that, and this is important, right? You're only going to be able to do this, if you have a Facebook page for your business. That's because Facebook does not want you doing business from a profile, which is your basic Facebook view. So do make sure you have a page set up so that you can use this, and then you can get into it, and from here you can actually access the mobile app, and it is iOS and Android, or you can actually download a desktop application for this if you want to. Personally, I just use the browser. Why clutter up your systems with all these extra systems and with all these extra tools, right? When this is all here and it's going to give you the same functionality. The other thing I wanted to point out here, in addition to getting, all the analytics and activity numbers and all this kind of stuff, you can actually do your posts from here, right? So you can create a story, you can create a post. So it is kind of turning into one-stop shopping from that standpoint, in that you can just go ahead and do what you need to do from here pretty much. You come in here and it's going to take a minute to load because, stuff. And you can decide, are you going to send it to just Facebook or Facebook and Instagram, and you can do the post. You can, add photos, you can add videos, you can create a video, all that kind of stuff. So from that standpoint, okay, it might actually be kind of handy and helpful. All right. So let's see. So moving on, the next thing I want to show you is the ad manager. Okay, and just like before, I do have the links in the description, so you can go and check these out yourself. Okay, so this is what the ad manager looks like. You can get to this directly, and I gave you the links, or if you just want to go to facebook.com/ads manager, no spaces. So this is where, if you are an ads person, and I think I've run, here, they're right here. I've run 2 as a test because I was curious. I don't really do a whole lot of this, but I do come in here and play with it every once in a while because I like to stay up to date on it. But in here, you can track your ads, you can create your ads, you can plan your ads, you can see how they, did all that kind of good stuff. So you've got all that kind of here. You've got all these tabs here to move around. You can click here to change the date range you're looking at. If you're, been doing this over time and you want to go and compare, that's where you're going to go and do that. So like I said, whether you bookmark this and you have it there for you all the time, or if this is something that you've never tried before, don't worry about necessarily keeping track of it here, because you can get to it from the business suite. So hey, we'll take that for the win. Okay, so next let's talk about my new favorite thing. Facebook Events Manager that does not actually manage the Facebook events, because yay. Okay, so this is what this looks like. I did cover up some stuff here because I'm not actually using the event stuff from Facebook for this account. I used it on a previous project, so that's what we're looking at here, really old data. But you can go ahead and you can check this out. Again, it's going to give you information, it's going to give you some details. Let me make that a little bit bigger so you can see by page and by leads, and what content was viewed, all that kind of good stuff. There's test events, you can do diagnostics, all kinds of interesting little pieces to play with. Again, if this is something that you use a lot, then great, you got a special place to go. Or the other benefit here is if you have a team working for you, or, your team could be one person, but maybe you've hired somebody to take care of, your ads management, or, this events thing that they're talking about here, probably more likely your ads. They can just go to one place now, right? They don't have to, be inside of all of your account. I mean, they probably have access depending on how you set them up, which is a whole thing. In the roles in Facebook, you can control what people have access to. So if you wanted to have somebody helping you with stuff, you could totally set them up with the appropriate role at the level that you want them to have, and then they could just go in and use the tool, that part of the tool set that you need them to work with, and they don't have to be in anything else. You don't have to worry about them inadvertently changing something that you didn't want changed, all that kind of good stuff. So just something to keep in mind there. Let me bring my window back while we make sure that we've covered everything. We talked about the business suite, we talked about the ads manager. Okay, we did all that good stuff here. So just to show you, again, they do provide information about, let me take the title off, about the ads manager. So that link again is in the description, but it talks about you use it to create ad campaigns. You can manage multiple ads at once. You can track your ads, all that kind of good stuff inside of there. And I think we already looked at, but let me just double check. We talked about the, hang on. Did I close that without showing it to you, or did I already show you the events manager one? Let's go get that one, just to make sure. Because I just want to provide a little extra context around this one, just in case. Okay, so there is also a page that talks about the events manager for Facebook Pixel and the conversion. So if you're not really clear about what this is a whole, this would be multiple shows if we got into this on any level of detail, but it does get into what it's used for. They do provide a little extra information because it covers a lot of things. So you may not be doing an ad that you're having Facebook, an app that Facebook is tracking for you, but you might use some of the other stuff. Like maybe you want to track it, from your, you want to track activity that you're sending to your website, as far as, maybe you're doing ads in Facebook and you want to see how many people are then going and maybe buying from your site or checking out your content on your site or signing up for things, whatever. So that's what the Facebook Pixel is, which not everybody is clear about. So in order to do that kind of tracking, you have to get what they call Facebook Pixel. It's just a little bit of code that is custom generated for you to identify traffic to you. And it's how, all those times when it pops up, saying, hey, it's one of the tracking things that we all love and, hate together, because depending on which side of the fence you're on, whether you're looking for data or you're just looking to go on with your life, there's a different approach to it. But this is where you can go and do that. So you got to go in, you got to generate this piece of code. They explain how to add it to your site or the information to send to the person who manages your site so they can do that for you. That's a one-time thing. Once that's there, you're pretty good, unless you add sub functionality to it, and then sometimes you have to copy it across. But that's the key to being able to do that kind of tracking when you're doing things in the events manager or even in the ads manager. So just wanted to make sure that was also clear, because that's not something, again, that everybody's born knowing, and it's not crystal clear when you first, that's when I first went into the ad. I wasn't really sure how they were going to track it, and I kind of backed into, oh, this is what the Pixel's for. Gotcha. Okay. Because Pixel to me means a phone, and it also means screens and online graphic tools. So again, terminology really gets muddy on some of these things, but that's what they're talking about. Okay, so that's what I just wanted to make clear to you. There's really 3 big things in all of this. And I'm just going to go run through them again just as a reminder. So the first thing is, it's ending June 30th, 2021, which when I'm recording this is about 2 weeks away. Before that date hits, if you want to save your data, you need to go into the existing Google Facebook Analytics functionality, whether it's the web page, the tool in your mobile device, however you prefer to do it, and you need to pull that all that data down manually. For each thing that you want to save the data about, you need to go into that. You need to set the timeline, the criteria, and then click on the thing to download it in a format that you can then load into your favorite spreadsheet tool. If you don't do that, let's say you're watching this after June 30th, there is no guarantee. There's no indication that they're going to make it available to you. So if you don't get it before the cutoff date, it may be gone. The second thing is, once it's gone, what's really happening is obviously you're still going to have analytics, but you're going to need to go different places. The place you're going to want to start is the Facebook Business Suite. Again, the links are all in the description. That is the best thing that I have found as I've gone through all of this and looked at all the different doors that you can go through. That gives you access to everything else. So by going in there and using that, you're going to be able to go ahead and get a hold of all the other applications that they're making available to give you this information, which includes things like the ad manager, the events manager, which is not Facebook events, all the different tools, all the different combinations that you might need in order to manage things, track things, see what's working and what isn't. It's all there. And then the other benefit of the business suite is the fact that you could actually create Facebook and Instagram posts from there. So that's kind of a win. I should probably say too, you're actually also in a lot of these cases able to see your Instagram activity if you've made that connection. If you haven't, Facebook is going to hound you until you do it, so it's up to you. For the case of the Facebook Business Suite, you have the option of doing it in the browser, or you can go ahead and load an application so that you have it wherever it is that you want it. Okay, so you're not losing your analytics. But if you want to save your analytics, you got something to do, and then going forward, you just have to go to a different spot, and you'll be good to go. Make your life easy. Just bookmark the Business Suite because you can get to everything else from there. All right? As always, if you have any questions, comments, if you need more information about this, you can reach out. Go to yourtechcoach.net. There's a contact form there. Just let me know what your question is, and I'm more than happy to jump in and try to help. Doesn't have to be about this topic. You are always welcome to ask about other things that are technology related. I am happy to help out. Just make sure that if you need a fast answer, you let me know how to get back in touch with you. Give me an email address is probably the easiest way to go, but whatever, Instagram DM, Twitter DMs, whatever method you want, and then tell me what that contact is so that I can get back in touch with you. Otherwise, all I can do is use it in future content on the show, which is lovely too. If you have something you want me to cover, feel free to let me know. Always looking for topic ideas, so if you have something you want me to talk about, let me know. If you'd like to join the mailing list, there you go. I only do use this to let people know what's coming down the pike, so just go ahead and sign up. And it's like one email a week, maybe sometimes an extra once a month. Not a big deal. Okay, so I hope that this is helpful. I hope that this has helped to remove some of the stress around this announcement. And if you didn't know this was coming, you still have 2 weeks to get it all taken care of. So hopefully either way, we've got you covered. And if you're hitting this after the fact, I'm sorry if you've lost your data, but at least you'll know why and where to go next. I'm here every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can join live, that's great. We have a good time hanging out in the chat, but by all means, if you're watching this on a replay and you have a question or a comment or any feedback, go ahead and throw it in the comments, and I do come back and I do check them on a regular basis. So however you want to communicate, I'm ready to take care of it for you. All right, everybody, have a good one. Go download your data. Bye. Oh, and a bonus. The dog didn't find his noisy toy.